because you're rejected. And there was a small group for the alternates who were chosen from other orchestra to go on tour with us, just in case if somebody would be dumped. So of course you could make very easy math, adding 2 + 2 = 4. It was quite common for our colleagues from another orchestra to write very demeaning letters to KGB about behavior of one or two of our own colleagues, with the hope that this colleague will be dumped, and person who write this. See, anonymous letters can't be checked. And the position of KGB was very clear. They maintain that every letter we receive, we do not take at face value. We check it out. But since it takes time for us to check out and to be impartial and to be fair, meanwhile, person should stay home. Then we will check out, and if it is wrong, we will apologize. Meanwhile, person is heartbroken because he's not going on tour with us to the Western world. And that was unfortunate side of this dealings with the KGB. Unfortunate. But it was true. On my last trip, I was also dumped because, you see, my brother left. Mm-hmm. And we were going again on a foreign trip in September of 1973. I was not alone. There was another individual, Emanuel Borak, who was associate concertmaster, whose father and sister recently immigrated to Israel. So he had already 2 relatives in Israel. I did not have any relatives there. I only had person who was applying for exit visa, but physically he was still in Moscow. So our music director, Kirill Kondrashin, had a case. He went to the Minister of Culture and put his case saying that I'm going to West Germany right now with the Moscow Philharmonic. I'm going to Prague, then we're going to Yugoslavia, and these individuals on your list are actually head of my first violin section. So how do you expect me to represent our glorious Soviet music and a world-class orchestra if you leave the head of my first violins at home? And so because of that situation, I was actually allowed to go. And although my brother was already packing his bags with his wife and in-laws to immigrate. So that was an exception from the rule. And then Emanuel Borak was not let go because he already had close relatives in Israel, so he had to stay home. But eventually we left Soviet Union almost the same day. It was 31st of March and 2nd of April of 1973. So that fall was very interesting for all of us because at that time, after visit of Richard Nixon, Soviet Union became much more aware of the power of United States Congress, the power of specific, not the whole Congress, but there was a group of senators who were keenly interested in helping Jewish immigration from Soviet Union to Israel. There was Senator Rybikov, Senator Jackson and Javits, three of them. I just remember names after not speaking their name for 37 years, but suddenly it came to my mind. Anyway, so that immigration started to be opened up, as I said, after the visit of Richard Nixon in spring of 1972. And so many people started to immigrate. Of course, Soviet government decided to take advantage of this immigration and charge some levies, some fees on immigrants. So just to, you know, get some financial advantage from this immigration. And so they decided that since all higher education in Soviet Union was totally free, it was meant for people who would pay back to the country by working in the country. And so they decided, all right, if you leave the country, it's okay, you can leave, but you need to pay back your higher education, which was 90,000 or 9,000 rubles. Anyway, it was astronomical. And by the time I was leaving, they imposed 23,000 rubles on me, because I went not to one but to two conservatory, one as a violinist and then one as a conductor. And my ex-wife was also a graduate of Moscow Conservatory, so it was 2.5 times. Now, of course, the figure 23,000 does not make much sense to you, but if I'll tell you that my salary was 100 rubles a month, okay, 100 a month, and this fee was 23,000. So that tells you how much I had to find out. Okay. There was another very interesting incident with my professional life, which took place actually after departure of my brother. He and his family, they all got permission to leave and they left. It was beginning of November of 1972. I was still playing violin in Moscow Philharmonic, and I was still assistant conductor, and I was still studying, finishing my study at St. Petersburg Conservatory, finishing my conducting study there. And it just happened that our music director decided to give me another concert with the Moscow Philharmonic, which was, I think, on December 5th, 1972.